Lying in bed in the mornings when I was a kid growing up in the inner suburbs of Sydney, I used to hear the song of little pardalotes from outside my window.
And I used to see little brown house sparrows all the time. And I'm a bit ashamed to say that apart from those memories, I really haven't been aware of birds at all, except to notice that there aren't many small ones around. And I've recently found out why. It's because of how we've planted out most of our city, with trees at the top, grass at the bottom, and not much in between. And in doing this, we've accidentally selected for the larger, more aggressive birds, and noisy miners are probably the worst of them. So look at the relationship here between noisy miners with the red bars and small birds with the blue bars. The more we see noisy miners, the less we see small birds. But there are places that small birds can thrive. So let's go take a look. This is Randwick Environmental Park in the southeast of Sydney, and it's a renowned refuge for birds, particularly small birds. And you can see from this aerial shot that it's quite a large continuous area of bush. Now I'm taking you to the bottom left corner of this photo. They are so pretty. I don't know if you can see the red brows that I can see, and there's green on their back and there's a beautiful splash of red on their tail as well. Much more colourful than I realised, beautifully camouflaged in a way, but also incredibly colourful. So as you can see, these little birds love this space because what they can do is they can come out into the open areas and feed on the seeds and the grass, and then they can go and hide in this really dense bush over behind me. Now you'll see this area has weeds in it, particularly a lot of lantana. And for a long time I've really hated weeds and wondered why they're still there. But now I understand why. This lantana is fantastic for giving small birds the protection they need from birds like miners. And when it's removed, it's done slowly so that natives can be planted and have time to grow up to replace it. And to create this effect in your garden, it's all about layers, layers, layers. All sorts of plants of different heights to attract lots of insects, provide lots of food and give lots of protection. And small birds also need a water source with protection, like this bird bath. Or a pond that's kind of open on one side so the birds can access it easily, but has kind of some prickly, dense things on the other side so they can hide if they need to. So another place I wanted to bring you to was this. So this is this little patch of remnant bushland that I found in the middle of just a big, pretty standard here, urban park with sports fields and a swimming pool and kids' playgrounds. But there's this little patch of, I think, eastern suburbs Banksia scrub. And in here, I have heard some lovely little birds. Let's go and see if we can find them. Now, Centennial Park is a different story, and small birds have been disappearing from there over the last few decades, especially in the centre and the north. So we'll look at some of the issues there. So here we are in Centennial Park, and we're in the vicinity of a small bird habitat regeneration project, and we're just going to take a look at it. Now, they're working to bring small birds back to Centennial Park, but apparently there are not many small birds at all. A whole lot of species that used to be here aren't here anymore. So let's see what they're doing. So there's quite a bit of planting that's been done, but it's still very small. It's got a long way to grow. I had no idea. In the middle of the park, there's a protected area of eastern suburbs Banksia scrub that's set aside as a bird refuge. So there's lots of that density, lots of the sort of prickly shrubs, lots of dead matter, that diversity, the layering. But there's a problem. It's just not continuous with the other parts of Centennial Park. It's just surrounded by grassy open fields. And so it doesn't really work. We need to create corridors and that continuity so that the small birds can get here from other places.
Now, on a more hopeful note, I found that fairy wrens are more common than I realised, and I want to show you some of the places I found them. So this is a coast walk north of Coogee where there's quite a corridor of bushland. And on the rocky headland at the south end of Coogee Beach, these two little guys hang out near a spiky lomandra bush that they can hide in. And this little female is so confident that she sings loud enough to be heard above the sound of crashing waves. So there's hope, but there's a lot that needs to be done to create places with the layers that these little birds need to be able to live and thrive. But where they can live, it's wonderful to be able to just wander and listen to them.